Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is my Starfield, my Prince of Persia.
Yeah, I don't like that.
My outlaw. I don't know. Josh Finney's here. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey. It's a big night.
It is. Josh, it's episode 150 of Tower Casuals.
Episode 150 of Tower Casuals.
How do we even make it this far?
You know, I don't know. A hope and a prayer. A few sandwiches along the way.
It's true. Quite a few sandwiches.
Quite a few sandwiches. There have been lots of sandwiches in mine. 3 years. 3 years now we've been doing this show.
I can't believe it's been 3 years already, man. That's nuts.
To
think that we started during like the pandemic, and now
we started the week that the Rivals came out because we told the story before. We just want to talk about Destiny, and here we are 3 years later.
Here we are. We're coming up on the final shape. By the way, did you see people freaking out online because they said that the final shape is now in full production?
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, "You're just starting," and it's like that's not how game design works at all.
So I took that to mean that they mean that the season for the final shape is in full production.
Yeah,
because the expansion's been underway for a while. We pretty much know the dialogue is recorded, but no, I also we've talked about it a little bit, both here and off camera. I do pretty strongly suspect that it's going to get a little bit of a delay just to make sure they get absolutely everything right.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I wouldn't be shocked to see a March or an April release date for this game.
Yeah,
but we will know more at the end of the summer. Essentially 2 months from now, we will know.
Yep. What, August 22nd? 68
August 22nd, about 9 weeks from now.
Yep. Great.
So I'm sure we'll find out more along the way. But for right now, man, there is so much other stuff out there. Like this is for me, it's a pretty solid season, and it's probably the least I've played Destiny in years during a season because there's just so much other stuff right now.
I know. Between Zelda and Final Fantasy comes out next week, which I'm pretty stoked for. I know a lot of people are into Diablo, which I'm like,
yep.
I'm not really into Diablo, but I'm getting the itch to try it. I just I kind of want to.
Man, it's so fucking good. I got to World Tier 3 this morning, and Nerd and I were running around in there for about an hour this afternoon and just raking in the experience points. It was great. I'm probably going to finish because I've already finished. You have to finish campaign to get to World Tier 3. Yeah. I think I'm going to be jumping in after we're done recording with A1 Johnny, and we're going to finish the campaign up on his character so that he can come do the capstone and join Tier 3 with me. It opens up like Tier 2 and Tier 3 both open up so many different more avenues, like so many different things to go do, and then it's great. I really like how many layers there are to this game, and you can enjoy it at every level. You don't have to go play on Tier 3, but it is infinitely more rewarding the higher that you do it on.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. But it's 150. I'm not going to dwell on other games. I will say that if you are interested at all in the press conferences that happened over the last week, Corey and I did a extra over on his other podcast, over on Boss Rush. You guys should go check that out. We broke down every single game from the Xbox conference.
I know. I almost wish we would have waited to do the Ubisoft one too, because the Ubisoft one was pretty good.
The Ubisoft one was good because we debated if we were going to do one for Ubisoft and Capcom, just combine them, and then it was Capcom's could have been an email.
Yeah.
So
Capcom's was pretty.
It's I kind of wish, but at the same time, definitely go watch that the Avatar and Star Wars Outlaws footage. Oh, those both look awesome.
Star Wars looks awesome. I mean, I'm excited for Assassin's Creed. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion these days.
But I think a lot more people are excited for Assassin's Creed this time around because it's returning to the roots. It's not a big open world RPG like Odyssey and Origins and Valhalla all were. This is definitely going back to the Assassin's Creed 1 way of doing things, down to blending in with crowds and sitting on benches.
Yeah.
So I'm excited
They very clearly show him sitting on a bench in the trailer. which is
I'll
funny.
play it, but I don't think that how it was shown at Ubisoft's Forward event was doing it any favors. I think it's
Yeah,
been shown better elsewhere. I'm just the marketing for this game has been really bizarre because I don't think they know how to market a game like this after so many years away.
yeah,
And that's really frustrating. This is but there's so many things coming out in October also now that I'm like, okay, something has to give, and this is the game that's going to be punted. This is
hmm
my like every Assassin's Creed. This is my Black Friday game.
hmm
I
yeah.
have to choose between this and Alan Wake within 6 days of each other. And sorry,
We know
guys,
you're.
Alan Wake is winning. Like,
Yeah,
spoiler alert: potential Game of the Year nominee Alan Wake 2 is winning.
man. I
So
don't. I've never played the first one, and I hear it's really rough to go back to. And so,
it's rough, but the remaster was pretty good
yeah,
from
I,
everything that I've heard, and it's routinely on sale for like $12 now.
yeah. I'm like, I kind of want to try it out just because I love Control so much, and I know they're kind of in the same universe now. So like,
They're in the same universe, but they're totally different games. I would
yeah,
say that they've each built off of each other. Like Alan Wake led into Quantum Break, and Quantum Break led into Control in terms of like how they do things.
hmm
So,
man, Quantum Break,
I
man.
would really, really, for anybody on the fence, man, go play the first Alan Wake. Go play the remaster. It's great. Go play fucking Quantum Break. One of my favorite underrated gems of last gen. I saw so many people be like, "Oh, I'm gonna download like all of Remedy's games when I get back from Summer Game Fest or when I get back from the Xbox show." And I'm like, if y'all would have just played these 10 years ago, we could have had this game 10 years ago.
I know.
It's really frustrating, but to
I,
also finally see the like peeling back of Starfield. I know you're
mhm.
not a big Bethesda fan, Corey, but even you admitted that
No,
you're starting to feel the hype.
so I've watched the showcase and the Starfield Direct two more times since we did our episode,
Mm-hmm.
just because like it's kind of a time waster at work while I'm working on stuff,
Right.
and it's also like very it keeps me in a good mood. Uh, Starfield, man, oh my god, Starfield looks awesome. It
Yeah,
looks so good.
if this game does like 75% of what it's promising it will, it's probably the most ambitious game of our time.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. I think it's gonna get me. Also, it's on Game Pass, so I can actually
Yeah.
play it, and you know,
I would also say shout out to because Todd Howard does not do many interviews.
yeah,
Shout out to Ryan McCaffrey
I
for
know.
doing a pretty good interview with Todd Howard over the weekend, where Todd got kind of frank about a lot of things, like that he's not super thrilled that it took them so long to get to Starfield from Fallout 4.
Yeah,
Um, kind of basically straight up insinuates that 76 was not his decision, and that he does not consider it a mainline game for Bethesda.
yeah.
He kept saying like our last real release was 8 years ago with Fallout 4.
hmm
Um, and
Well,
then
that
he
was the
got
Austin team, though, right? I mean, that was
it was and but it also wasn't at the same time. Like
yeah,
Todd's team didn't have a lot to do with it. He's still credited as a director on it.
yeah,
Um, but I suspect a lot of the core team in Maryland was working on Creation Engine 2 at the time.
hmm
But even with that, it should not take you 8 years to make this game. So that's my whole thing is, and he's expressed frustration with studio cycles before, and he's like, yeah, this is far and away the longest it's ever taken us to make a game, like double the length of our previous one, which was Fallout 3 to Skyrim. It took 4 years.
hmm
3 or 4 years, and so he's just like, yeah, I'm kind of over it. The cycles are really starting to bother me. And that he knows that Starfield is going to get a lot of expansions.
hmm
The first one they're already, advertising as part of the deluxe edition or the digital upgrade.
right,
And he was like, yeah, he was getting asked some just frank questions by Ryan McCaffrey, like, you've always kept things in house to your team. Do you see yourself spreading that out? Because like Elder Scrolls 6 is next, and in the same interview, Todd basically says, with how content goes these days, Elder Scrolls 6 may be the final Elder Scrolls that he's ever a part of.
yeah. Well, I
That
mean,
after
he.
6 he's willing to let go of the franchise and let somebody else take it or just end it altogether.
I wonder. I mean, I wonder if he'll even retire at this point. He's
So he's Todd's 52, and he brings it up. Him and Ryan both kind of talk frankly about it. They're like, neither one of us is getting any younger. Todd's like, of course there's the request for Fallout 5, and he's like, God knows when that's going to happen. He's like, and of course at some point we're going to want to make Starfield too. He's like, yeah, at some point, like, I have to stop being as possessive over these ideas as I am.
Yeah.
And that's on top of his duties as being an EP on the Indiana Jones game from Machine Games.
Yeah.
So, just a really, really good, really frank interview that I would encourage anybody who's interested in Bethesda or Starfield, or just good interviewing in general. Go listen to that. I hate to sound like a shell for IGN, but Rebecca Valentine had some really good stories, some interviews she did with Matt Booty over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Would encourage that, especially where he gets really frank about Redfall. Stephen Totillo over at Axios had some good stuff too. Also, like pertaining to when you can expect to see Perfect Dark in State of Decay 3, he basically, like, he jokingly said it, but I don't know if it was too much of a joke that if Perfect Dark isn't ready to be shown by next E3, then Daryl Gallagher should start looking for a new job. Who's the studio head of Initiative. But he said that he said something really interesting. Last thing before we launch into episode 150 shenanigans and a lot of Destiny stuff to get to today. He noted something that I thought was really interesting, where he said basically the expectation for Xbox Studios now is we're not going to show your game unless there's something tangible to show. You need to have gameplay or like in-engine footage ready to be shown. We're not doing CG reveals anymore or like just title card announcements. Like that does a disservice to everyone and sets false expectations. He's like, I'm tired of revealing things like 4 or 5 years in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was really healthy to point out, because I mean, State of Decay 3 was shown at the original conference around Series X, Series X's first summer showcase, and it was in pre-production then. Who knows how far along it is? It sounds like it's even farther out than Perfect Dark, possibly. He says he hopes for us to see footage in the next 18 months. That does not fill me with confidence. Same with Perfect Dark. But he was like, yeah, we just played Perfect Dark last month. I really love where it's at. I'm just not comfortable showing it quite yet. He did say in regards to In Exile's game, which both you and I had as one of our big standouts of the show, Clockwork Revolution, the Bioshock-esque game, that is something that him and Phil played this time last year and decided then that it was going to be a part of this showcase. And he said that the stuff that we saw in the trailer, some of the specific scenes in the trailer that we see of like the arch being rebuilt with the time powers, for example, that was part of a playthrough that Phil had just done this past week.
That's cool.
So that was really encouraging. That was really encouraging to hear that, like, oh, they still consider themselves in pre-alpha, but this game looks awesome already.
Yeah.
And there was actual gameplay shown with it too. So
yeah, it's
an
an exciting time.
Awesome show. Awesome show.
It's an exciting time to be an Xbox fan, I gotta tell you.
It's the same time to be a gamer, period. I mean, we've been talking about this, but like, I genuinely don't know what I'm supposed to do this fall. I have Armored Core, a new Destiny season, Baldur's Gate 3, and Starfield all coming in 8 days of each other, with Starfield now having a week of early access.
Well, Josh, this is what I told you during our episode, but they make Red Bull for a reason. So
man, listen, I don't need Red Bull. I need like a clone or something that I can share thoughts with. It's getting rough, man. But alas, we are here to celebrate Destiny and 3 years of this podcast.
Yeah, man. So crazy, man. Like, who would have thought?
Not us.
Yeah. I mean,
not us at all.
Yeah, I mean, so we started man, when we started, we had I went back and listened to a couple of the first episodes, and we had such like we said we were going to do this show, when the season launches, we would do it every week, and then we'd transfer it to every other week, but it would only be a half hour long.
Yeah, we wanted it to be like a quick check-in, and it evolved into what it is now.
I know. Man, it's so funny to go back there and like just listen to those and where we're at now, and see how the audience and the community has grown, and all the inside jokes that have happened, and all the stuff in the Discord. Don't worry, Joey. It says, I saw your comment. You said Corey won't see this. I saw it.
We actually have to retire one of our longest running jokes, and that is that Nerd Generalist cannot get Vex Mythoclast to drop. Last night, on the eve of episode 150, it finally dropped for him.
It was fate.
It was fate. I'm so proud of him. All those times grinding Vault of Glass, I'm sure he will never do that raid ever again now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd hang it up. It'd be done.
But it is episode 150, Corey, and with it being a milestone episode, we're doing a giveaway.
Yeah, giveaway.
We announced it on last week's episode, and we announced it in the Discord for you guys to write in a 1-sentence review of Tower Casuals.
Yep.
I want to read.
Some of them are pretty good.
Some of these are pretty good. I want to read them off, and I want to attribute to them. And at the end, I'm going to tell you guys who won. It was randomly selected. Google selected the winning entry for us. They selected the person's name. We'll read that out, and I'll be in touch with you this week about your prize.
I have one comment.
You have one comment before we start.
I'm very proud that everyone who entered used Discord and didn't, DM one of us or the Twitter account or email us. I'm very proud of all of you who entered and used the Discord. Bravo.
Yes.
Bravo.
Very, very happy. Very happy. Tiger Jesus 64 wrote in Tower Casuals, Adam Sandler's favorite Destiny podcast.
Probably is. Write that down.
Saint 14 writes in, I'm not just a baiter for Tower Casuals this season. I'm their Battle Master baiter.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Zhao writes in, Tower Casuals, not only a podcast, but a community that rekindled my passion for games. Smoked Cheese. Oh. Tower Casuals, where friends and fantasy come together to hone skills and preserve virginity.
Yeah.
Panda of Chaos. Tower Casuals, come for Destiny, save for the sandwiches.
Yeah.
The Dealer. Tower Casuals, if you a casual, you at the right place. Sammy, with my personal favorite entry. I have to get the voice right. The Bill Nighy voice. They called it Tower Casuals, and its arrival changed everything. Was that a good enough speaker voice?
It was okay.
I'll
give it a B-.
Fuck you. Nadiki writes in, Tower Casuals, where every channel is the meme channel.
It's also true.
And it's spelled, the likes are spelled out as facts on that, so. Cade's Ace in the Hole, Tower Casuals, where Destiny's server ineptitude is put in its proper place. Zagreus, Tower Casuals, the place where the players are not as casual as they say they are.
That's also true.
Jiggly Panda, Tower Casuals, Destiny podcast that covers other games more than Destiny.
Recently, yes.
Recently, yes. Tower Casuals, please don't blame Ronnie for Aaron's behavior. That's from Aaron. We have Tower Casuals, a Diablo 4 Destiny podcast.
Yeah, that's fair.
John Sork, Tower Casuals, it's been a week, but we're still here for you. And then we asked our wonderful moderators to submit some fun ones. Nerd Generalist writes in, Tower Casuals, what did Josh buy this week? The answer is the Starfield controller and the headset. Spent $200 on Starfield merch, so I really hope this game is good.
I really want that controller. It's so
good.
So good.
My girlfriend immediately defiled it by putting Hello Kitty thumb pads on it.
Oh no, why?
Oh yeah, I was so disappointed. Tower Casuals, this is from A1 Johnny. Tower Casuals, where somehow Josh's laptop limps along for another week.
Oh my god. Yeah. It didn't make it through the Xbox showcase.
It did not. Joasis, Tower Casuals, come for the podcast, stay for the community. Joe also says that I have a PC on life support. Buddy, it's a MacBook Air from 2014. Get your facts right. Fox writes in, Tower Casuals, a gathering place of misfits and non-casuals alike. And I believe we had a couple others in mod chat. Where is it? Joe wrote in, he put in our mod chat before he understood that I needed entries put into the contest channel, which, by the way, our wonderful moderators, Joasis, A1 Johnny, and Fox are not eligible to win our contest for this month. That's because we have something else planned. Yes. Tower Casuals, what can I say? It's a bit Tarantino, definitely a bit Michael Mann. It's sort of a cosmic gumbo. It almost moves to the beat of jazz. I was really hoping that would end on a quote from Heat. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry, Josh. Did not.
Never have a podcast that you can't leave behind in 30 seconds when you feel the heat around the corner. Corey, I really hope you understood that reference.
That's why I'm laughing.
Laughing because you understood it or you didn't?
Because I did.
I'm so proud. Corey understood a movie reference. I'm so proud of him.
Look, I get one every once in a while, okay?
Oh boy. So, with all that being said, those are our wonderful entries. Google selected as the winner, and he is currently dominating the server fashion contest for villain fashion.
It's true. It's very true.
Nadiki is our winner
Nadiki!
of the episode 150 graphic novel giveaway. So I will bust this bad boy out of the cellophane tonight. I will put a message from Corey and myself in there, and I will be in touch with you to get shipping information and send it out to you. Hopefully tomorrow. More than likely, it'll ship on Monday. I'm just going to be completely real with you.
Yeah.
So thank you to everybody for your lovely words, for your kind words. We wanted to do something different than last year, where it was like, share your memories with us. That was like an episode 100 thing, right? Like, 150. That's like kind of in between.
Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that for 200.
Yeah, maybe we'll do something like that again for 200. There'll be more prizes for 200. This was just a fun kind of midway milestone in celebration of the year that we've had going into the last big expansion of Destiny 2. And I did want to give this away last year originally and could not find it. So I'm thrilled that I found it in the move. And I did confirm this is not my copy. My copy is out of the cellophane in the living room somewhere with the rest of my graphic novels. This one has been living with the rest of my lore books right up here off to the right-hand side of my monitor. So thank you to everybody for entering. I saw an awful lot of familiar faces and some new faces in there. So thank you for entering and for participating, not just in this, but also for Nerd Generalist running the fashion contests for us over the last several months in the Discord. Man. We keep getting more and more participation in those. And it's always fun. So
I know we give Nerd a hard time sometimes, but he's all right. You know,
I mean, I feel like my man deserves it.
I know he deserves it more than us. Just like telling him he's all right.
Yes.
So.
All right.
I don't think our Discord would be as amazing as it is without him. So
it would not be. Seriously, like I know that we're not all listening to this at the same time, but seriously, a metaphorical round of applause for Nerd for doing all that he does for the pod, for the server. He's not just a guest on here. He is effectively running the Discord for us. He has set up most of the bots that we have going there, helps coordinate, figuring out mods and raid leaders and battle masters and things like that. So I really enjoy that. He's been helping, him and Fox have really been helping set up some Diablo groups lately, which same name in Diablo, by the way. Tower Casuals does have a group in Diablo 4. But yeah, it's been a good time. I hope that we get some more server events going. Joe has been running Sussy Sundays a lot for Among Us, and we've done some Phasmophobia nights. I suspect that we're going to be doing some more multiplayer games as the year goes on. I wouldn't rule out seeing maybe a little bit of Baldur's Gate or Armored Core action as we get into the fall. Yeah. So thank you to everybody who participates in the Discord. That's been the biggest change between episode 100 and 150. You guys you were requesting it around episode 100 a lot. Yeah. We answered, and just I can't tell you how many people that not just participate in this contest, but who are active in the Discord were not even writing into the show at the time of episode 100.
It's true.
Sammy is one of the only names I remember off the top of my head that submitted for episode 1. I think him and Tiger Jesus both submitted for episode 100. And I don't really remember beyond that. I'm going to be completely honest. So it's been really refreshing. I don't know if Fox was writing in by that point yet, but it's I'm sure Joe Aces actually was too. I think I'm pretty sure that we sent him some silver or some emblems or something last year. But it's been really refreshing to see just the community grow and get bigger and better. So Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I want to make sure that you understand that we do not get to 150 episodes without the community.
Yeah, for sure.
Corey and I would still be doing this, but we'd be doing it over an Xbox chat, talking to each other, being like, oh, damn, I had a great sandwich today, and there was some pretty good Destiny lore.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Josh, to just comment on your not remembering things. So, side tangent. I remember a
Yes.
long time ago when we were wee lad podcasters. Okay, and I'm talking
We
like
lads.
old groups. We were still using Facebook to find sleeper simulant
Oh my god, yes.
groups. Someone that we listened to from not to bring up IGN again, but Brian Altano. I remember I heard him
Yes.
say on an old episode of, it might have been like Beyond or Nintendo Voice Chat or something, whatever he was on that week, say, man, when I leave this room, I don't remember anything that I said. I'm like, how can you not remember? Because like, you know, you're like, as fans, we like try to be on top of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and like, man, I gotta tell you, man, as soon as we started podcasting and like a year in or so, I'm like, man, I totally understand that. Just not remembering anything when
Yeah,
the mics go
I
off.
feel that one in a very real way.
Yeah.
I have to like if it's something like big, I like try to make a note of it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was originally talking with Nerd about like how do we do a giveaway here, and I was like, so I want to do something unique, and he had a really awesome idea that I'm gonna put in my back pocket for episode 200,
Mm-hmm.
for like a bigger prize, but it was like, well, what if you like did a scavenger hunt through the old episodes? And I'm like, I'd have to listen to the show for the first time ever to do that, so I don't know if I could set that up, but I did find it very funny that was one of the suggestions. So
That's funny.
we may do that down the line, but for right now we're good. But Corey, we
Yep.
actually have some Destiny stuff to talk about tonight.
I know the TWID is up.
We actually have, well, that's the TWAB forever. We actually have a pretty good amount of stuff here in the TWAB. There was a big Q&A that was called out for on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and there's some answers in there. I want to go through some of those. And we have two pretty nice pieces of lore and some story ramifications to talk about after that.
Yeah.
And then some listener questions for episode 150. So let's jump on in. Pride at Bungie and Trans at Bungie say good morning. There is a new Rainbow Connection emote that is free, and last year's Transmat effect is still available. The codes are here within the TWID, TWAB, whatever you want to call it. It's in here. And I do think that given the comments that we typically see underneath a blog post about pride or trans visibility, it's more important than ever that we share this, and that Bungie is one of the very few companies that actually studios that is actually taking a frontline stance on this. It isn't just back off because they get a lot of heat in the comments on a tweet. So the paragraph here says, as you already know, June is celebrated as Pride Month, and our Pride at Bungie and Transit Bungie teams couldn't wait to share what Pride means with the entire studio and our players. But what is Pride Month and why does it matter? If you haven't checked out the full blog, you can do so. But a small little recap includes why this period is still important today. According to our blog post, it's a celebration, it's a family, it's a remembrance of a history full of people who were willing to put everything on the line for the freedom to be who they truly are. History like 1969 Stonewall riots that sparked a flame that rages even now for the modern gay rights movement in the United States. History like same-sex marriage legalization efforts in countries like Spain, South Africa, Sweden, France, Austria, and so many more over the last 20 years. Knowing the history is important, and knowing there's still work to do, even more so. And then that's where they give us those codes. So and they ask for you to show your own celebration for Pride Month with at Destiny 2 Game and at Destiny 2 Team on Twitter. So definitely do that. I know we have some members in the community who are partaking in the celebrations. So shout out to you guys. I genuinely, I really love that Bungie takes so many stances like this. We saw with Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Of course, all of this kind of stemmed out of not all of it stemmed out. I think we were doing Pride at Bungie a year before, but Black Lives Matter at Bungie, that was a very big deal in 2020. If you guys remember, in fact, the very first episode of this show took place right after that reveal for Beyond Light. I was trying to find the right words. Took right after that, and they did the 8 moments of silence, 7 or 8 minutes of silence leading into it, because of George Floyd. So definitely social justice is at the forefront of Bungie and what they do. I mean, it has been for years, and like not just that, but humanitarian efforts. One of the earliest things I can remember the Bungie Foundation doing was fight the flood, Hurricane Katrina. They did special Master Chief fighting the flood shirts.
Right.
For that. Those. They've done the shirts for the Australian wildfires. They've done so many things over the years, and like and every purchase on the Bungie store, part of that does go to the Bungie Foundation to provide tablets and computers and game systems to children's hospitals. I like to see a company giving back, like a prominent game studio giving back like that. Just be like, oh, we went and did a day of charity. No, it's like there's like a lot of shit that they do all year long. So, but moving along to this giant Q&A that we have. Let's talk about some frequently asked questions by the community that the gameplay team decided they were going to answer.
All right.
Before we dive in, this is a good time to remind folks this is an example of the type of content that we'll look to feature standalone developer insight blog posts in the future. Good, because I would really like to get into those in depth here on the show. As far as abilities go, in PvE, ability uptime is very high and it has increased despite global changes to base cooldowns. What are the current thoughts on the ability energy economy? The ability energy economy is something we're always evaluating and adjusting. With the massive number of sources that can grant ability energy, it's always an area of concern. While we don't have any sweeping changes to announce today, this is a continual area of focus for us. Destiny's identity is fundamentally rooted in space magic power fantasies, but we don't want ability uptime to balloon to a point where the power spike from active ability ceases to become a spike and becomes the norm. So basically, they will eventually look into grenade cooldowns and things like that, because as they are, as explained down below, not only can you get your base to that, but the artifact mods and things like that can change it and enhance it even more. With aspects, armor mods, and artifact perks that rely on players being able to throw or destroy their crafted tangles, the cooldown can feel frustrating. What is the intent behind the tangle creation cooldown time, and are there any plans to revisit it? During strain development, we experimented with a significantly lower tangle creation cooldown time. When the cooldown was too low, combat became extremely chaotic with random explosions going off all over the battlefield. We don't have any plans to go back to that level of uptime, but we agree that competition around tangles can be frustrating. In Season 22, we're currently on 21, we're currently planning on reducing the tangle cooldown time from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. I have a feeling this probably gets reduced a further 3 seconds to 9 eventually. 9 or 10 seconds for PvE content feels about right. And I understand that you think it's too chaotic and too explosive. This is as you said, this is a space magic power fantasy. Let me do that shit in PvE. I don't care about PvP. Let me do that in PvE.
Yeah.
Broodweavers were intended to be minion masters of Strand, but Threadlings can feel underwhelming in high-end content, especially with the potency of Suspend. Are there any plans to adjust this relationship going forward? We're working on a two-pronged approach to this problem for Season 22. We agree that it can be hard for Threadlings to feel valuable as combatant health increases in high difficulty PvE content. Agree. We also believe that Suspend is currently too strong in PvE. Also agree. For Season 22, we're implementing a sizable increase in Threadling damage against PvE targets and reducing the duration and uptime of Suspend sources in PvE. In addition, we're making a change to Broodweaver's newest Strand aspect, the Wanderer, to address community feedback regarding its potency. And how does the team feel about the current suite of grenades? We want all grenades to feel viable. Some grenades are fundamentally better suited to specific situations or modes. We don't expect perfect equalization as a result, but we want to avoid situations where a single option is clearly the best across many different combat roles. For Season 22, we're making some small adjustments to the uptime of a few underperforming grenade options, and as we move forward, we'll continue to evaluate and adjust both overperforming and underperforming options as needed for the health of the sandbox. This is pretty clearly a dig at arc grenades, specifically storm grenades from Titans. That's what this kind of reads like to me, and maybe Warlock fusion grenades.
Yeah.
This kind of feels like it's a dig at both of those, but not even just a dig. They've had their time in the sun. It's time. It's time. Nerf them just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not saying a lot, but maybe enough to where this isn't absolutely essential for the best build in the class.
Yeah.
Weapons. Here we go, buddy. Weapons. Can/will hand cannons get a buff? Not quite the Shadowkeep levels, but at least something. There's a lot here about hand cannons. Hand cannons have been touched several times over the past few years, and the current PvE damage numbers mean that compared to pre-Shadowkeep, they currently deal roughly the same damage per crit and almost double the body damage. Reverting to Shadowkeep numbers would be a substantial nerf for anyone who ever misses a crit, which we're not planning to do. The overall balance of PvE has changed substantially over the past few years, though, and some weapons have suffered as a result. We agree, which is why hand cannons got an extra 20% damage in the Season 20 mid-season update. This move didn't move the needle as much as we'd like. Hand cannons still struggle to find a niche in PvE. Their damage output is comparable to other weapon types, but reload speed and smallish magazine make it painful to run out of ammo. There is some room to bump them a little more against minor enemies, but what if they looked like and became primary ammo option for clunking down tougher single enemies? Here's what we're currently playtesting for a future season. Numbers may change, along with a quick preview of specific hand cannons we feel languished more than most. Increased reload speed at 0 stat by 15%. This benefit scales down at increasing stat, with 100 being unchanged. This is a substantial benefit to hand cannons with low reload stats, which includes several aggressive and precision hand cannons. Increased damage against minors, which are your red bars, by 20%, and increased damage against orange bars by 75%. And then heavy burst hand cannons. Change the Warden Law's legendary hand cannon to be the first member of a new subfamily, the heavy burst hand cannon. This fires a 2-round burst and overall is much more satisfying to use than the previous version while still benefiting from some of the unique properties of the original. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Hand cannons are going to be an evolving area of focus over the next year or two. And I do agree in PvE content, they felt kind of off unless you're using in the stun champs. Over probably the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So, interested to see what they do there. I personally don't really care for hand cannons. I still think that I see them plenty in PvP for my maybe a little too much for my liking. Even though those aggressive burst pulses are just as bad.
Yeah, hand cannons. Like I don't know if I see a lot of hand cannons really. Any like maybe in PvP, and I'm not in there a lot.
I do see
like
them in PvP, not as much as I used to, but I do still see them.
I mean, I know Bungie's done a pretty solid job of keeping, PC kind of and as much as they can, PC and console players kind of even. But also, like, I feel like hand cannons are more of like a PC kind of players go to,
Yeah, and I think they developed that reputation with Not Forgotten and Luna's Howl.
Yeah.
That's really when they developed that reputation during Forsaken. So
yeah.
Question. Kinetic weapons seem to be falling behind as builds get more intricate. Are there any plans or ideas to make them more interesting and help integrate them into builds? Well, we've also noticed this. We've poked at the issue a little with the damage increase versus unshielded enemies and kinetic tremors perk. We've also prioritized shipping more strand and stasis weapons in the kinetic slot to equalize those numbers a little and ensure all slots can tie into build crafting. We're continuing to look at kinetic and have something planned on a year of the final shape timeline that may make them a little more unique. But maybe it's time for that kinetic subclass? Probably not. So, kind of just, you're in a holding pattern if you're using something without an element, essentially. I don't think that they're all bad, but you are probably doing yourself a disservice by not getting that elemental damage for free. At least in PvE content. That's what I would say. How's the team feeling about the current state of glaives, and what about the exotic glaives? We've got a substantial glaive tuning pass coming in a future season, currently season 23, aiming to make them more satisfying to use, particularly in PvP. I'm already plenty satisfied, but if you want to give me some free buffs, I'll take them.
Right.
And we are not happy with the current state of the class-specific exotic glaives and are working to make some major changes to them when we touch glaives all up. This will likely take the form of adjusting how players activate exotic perks along with some other changes. There are a couple more notes here that I want to read. Let's see here. Here's kind of a juicy one, because this is always a big topic of discussion amongst the community, I've noticed. How do you determine what gets nerfed and what gets buffed? Do these parameters change season over season? Just to comment on the persistent Bungie balances based on usage narrative, this is not the case. But note that if something is wildly overused, in many cases that's because it's both strong and easy to use. Players typically won't flock to a specific weapon in droves if it's perfectly balanced. When we're deciding what to use for a balance pass, we look at 5 main sources of information to identify what we ought to look at. Internal feedback from playtesting. Designers have 10 hours of playtests a week, or our own experiences playing the live game. Designers play the game heavily and carve out a little time each week to fire up Fire team up for raids and trials. Live feedback sourced from players' weapon usage. We look at usage by owner so as not to miss what's going on with low ownership weapons. Weapon effectiveness. Examples include kills per time equipped with rate and win rate with the weapon equipped and so forth. Design analysis of the implementation of a weapon, so looking through perks and other data to see if something is obviously wrong. Having pulled together a list of weapons, we'll go through them and identify what's contributing to the issue. In some cases, it's innate to the weapon itself and we'll adjust it, but in other cases, it's a specific perk combo and the overall weapon type rather than a single weapon or lack of competition, and we can address the issue without touching the weapon in question. Some of the logic for which weapons get attention changes depending on the focus of the season. If we have a high representation of a weapon type in the seasonal artifact, we're shipping several new or reprised weapons of a specific type, or encounters play well with a specific weapon type, well, dig into the matching weapons to make sure they perform well with the seasonal focus from other teams. For example, in the past, we've had seasons that revolve around high-density, close-range encounters with matching artifact armor unlocks and revisited the tuning of submachine guns and grenade launchers. That is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take this while I get a drink.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. There's a lot of changes coming. So I just
I do think this helps to dispel some of the notion that Bungie just wings it and like,
Yeah.
oh, Bungie just wants to nerf fun or like buff things, you know, if people are using them or aren't using them and this and that. That pretty clearly seems like it's not true here.
Yeah.
Rather, it seems what they're doing is they want to base it off the type of encounters that are shipping that season, and and they want to curate the artifact mods to go in with that to work kind of together in conjunction. I know a lot of people were just like groaning that, oh god, here we go, you know, like overload SMG for like a third season in a row, right? Or you know, anti-pulse pulse anti-barrier pulse rifle or anti-barrier scout and things like that. Like there's some typical ones you can always count on to be there. But I think as you get further into it, I mean, like for example, last season we had a lot of strand and void and solar focus. This season we're having a lot of arc and void and strand ish focus, to where those builds aren't nearly as broken. But arc is a whole lot more fun. I'm really having fun with some of the arc ones. I'm not going to read this whole paragraph here, but I do think a couple things are worth reading out of this one. The question for reference is, are any further exotic tunings planned for the future, and what's the thought process behind those plan changes? So to give some context on timelines, we've just shipped Season 21. Season 22 is complete. 23 is in full production, and the final shape is entering early production. To be clear, this is referring to seasons as far as I'm concerned, because Season 22 is the upcoming season. That is the season that will start in August. 23 is going to be our holiday season, and then obviously Final Shape is Final Shape. This does not mean they are just now starting work on the Final Shape expansion.
Yeah.
They are starting to determine what changes and sandbox stuff will go into that. They're probably starting to look at artifact mods and things of that nature and building the seasonal activities. They work about like 2 to 3 seasons out.
Yeah, it's not like they're just starting, right? I mean, all the voice work's done. I bet most of the cinematics, if not all of them, are probably finished. This is just stuff that's going into the game when it launches.
Yeah, they're building like some specific encounters. They're probably still building the raid and things like that, obviously. So, continuing on here, we have a small set of changes to exotic weapons coming in Season 22. We've been playtesting for the last few months, including the long-awaited PvP nerf to La Monarch, a buff to Touch of Malice, a couple of minor changes to other exotics, and some tweaks to legendary perks like Bipod, Shoot to Loot, and Under Over. And there's plenty of other stuff. They do note here at the end, as usual, we're making an exotic catalyst for an older exotic weapon in Season 22, and this is one that's been heavily requested and is likely the most complex catalyst we've ever made. I genuinely wonder what weapon this is for.
Yeah, I wonder.
But maybe I'll put up a poll this week and see what people think it is.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a discussion about this one next week, so I'm gonna file that one away.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's hmm, I wonder.
The process for exotic tuning is looking at pain points around over or underperforming weapons, and honestly, just looking at the 20 least used exotic weapons. We poke at that list every season. I think that's good. Like things are always being kept into a rotation then, or at least attempting
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I'm glad they're kind of doing this. I know people have the weapons that they love. Me mostly to a fault, right? Like I have a bunch of weapons that I just stick to because I know how they feel. But like I'm glad that they're kind of allowing new weapons to shine, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I think you always have to do that, especially in a live service game like this. It helps keep the sandbox a bit more fresh, rather than just like, oh, well, we buffed this and we nerfed that. Like, no, that's for your general weapon families. For the exotics, it should always be a rotation of like what gets to shine now, because I think that encourages different builds and that encourages creativity in playing the game. You can still use all your favorite stuff on lower level content, but if you want that high end content, you're gonna have to build a specific way.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, let's move on to the next one. My favorite exotic armor could use a buff. Any plans to continue balancing legacy exotic armor? There are many existing exotic armors that we want to see get more use in the sandbox, and a few that still feel too strong. It's our intention to continue balancing armor incrementally over time. Next batch of changes next season in season 22. Can you address the recent Stompies change? This has been very controversial. I personally don't use Stompies a lot in PvP content, but I'm going to read this and try and provide the context that I can. Stompies provide great neutral game benefits that excel in PvP and have the potential to make it very difficult to target a hunter wearing them thanks to the unique nature of the hunter jump, which allows for rapid direction changes in midair. Our goal was to make them a little less free so that the wearer can still gain their benefit, but with a small amount of downtime each time the player uses their dodge, which itself provides numerous benefits since many armor mods key off the use of your class ability. That being said, we'll continue to monitor how Stompies is performing and make further changes as necessary. This has been something that's really controversial because it's being seen as, oh, you guys ran this into the ground as much as you could or nerfed it as hard as you did because it's a skill and it's a big meme, but it's a skill issue. And it does feel that way. I personally didn't really have a huge problem with this. I think every class has a couple of exotics that can really change the game in PvP. This just happens to specifically be a movement based one,
Yeah.
and I think that can be really frustrating for the other classes, for hunter or for warlocks and titans, even for hunters to play other hunters. It can be really frustrating with that jump. I do recognize that it's a precision jump. It's not a glide or a float.
Right.
So I can understand that Stompies has always been a pain point. But I mean, we've nerfed it. They tried other things. Omnioculus had to be run into the ground. We had to run Radiant Dance Machines in. We had to run Gear Falcons in. Like there's always something. Like young Ahamkara's spine is up there now.
Hmm.
There's always something with hunters that you got to run into the ground. I feel. Um, but I don't think it's fundamentally breaking the game. I don't think that Stompies are breaking the game the way that like One Eyed Mask did when it was up there. Gear Falcons, on the other hand, did. Everybody was getting overshields all the time. Omnioculus, everyone was going invisible all the time. Those were problems. I don't think that being better at clicking a mouse or hitting A on your controller is necessarily a problem. It's just like, seriously, like, get good. Get good.
Right.
I don't know how else to break this to you. Like, get good, play as a team, stop lone wolfing it. I don't know what else to tell you on that one personally. If anybody has like either you like Stompies, you like the Stompies nerf, or you don't like it, please feel free to reach out and let me know because I would actually like to get some differing perspectives on this. Since I don't use these too much in PvP, I'm typically running. I'm guilty of running Gear Falcons or Omnioculus in PvP a lot. I've also been
Boo.
running. I've been running Mask of Bacchus a lot. I do like that is a shift instead of a dodge. I think it's really wacky to get used to, but when you do, it's a ton of fun. Are there any plans for more exotic armor interactions with exotic weapons like necrotic grips have with the weapons of sorrow? We feel these special connections between exotics are best when they are kept rare and a little bit hidden. That being said, we would like to add more of them to the game, especially for hunters and titans. So keep an eye out in the future.
Yeah.
I really hope that like with hunters, I feel like it's going to be something that procs Volt Shot or procs oh god, what's it called? Burn. That procs one of them.
Hmm.
I forget what the solar burn is called. I literally forget what it's called. Um,
Singe.
Singe. Is it Singe? I don't know. Either way, I think those would be pretty good solutions there. Will we ever see any of the pre Lightfall armor mods come back? We're paying close attention to how the current armor mod system is performing as well as how it is being received. It is our goal that the base armor mods are straightforward and approachable. They should be the behind the scenes foundation of your build, not the star elements. We do want to experiment with fun and novel ways to interact with Warps of Power, Armor Charge, and other systems, and plan to do so via the seasonal artifact. We've gotten so many wacky ones already in just the first 2 seasons. I'm really excited to see how weird they can get with this artifact.
Yeah.
How weird and how fun. Making everything volatile last season is absolutely an artifact highlight. Like, it might have been the best mod that they've done since oh god, what was it? It was the Arc one, because we were all spamming Anarchy on bosses and just melting them. It was like you had that and you had your Cartesian or your Null Composure with it.
Right.
Like,
I don't remember what it's called.
I'm gonna have to remember the name of that, but I remember that being a ton of fun. And then, hey, we never really saw fusion rifle mods after that. I wonder why. Can we favorite shaders soon, please? They will be sharing new features in this vein soon. It's a pretty complex thing, and they're too hesitant to talk about it too early. And then any details or confirmations regarding HUD or UI updates that were previously mentioned. We'll talk about this more when we have something to show closer to the final shape. I suspect that any HUD or UI updates get shown during the showcase on the 22nd of August.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like something significant enough that they'll show then, just like they did with the trials changes, or maybe we get a blog that day detailing them. That would be my suggestion there. That does it for all the questions that they went through. I think there were some good answers given, specifically around hand cannons, breaking down the idea of how they deploy weapon updates, and a lot of stuff about PvE abilities in specific. So I really enjoyed seeing all that. This Iron Banner season emblem this season is hot.
Yeah, the one with the wolf that kind of like, oh, it's so cool.
This I believe is coming up again next week. I believe Iron Banner is up next week. Yep, Iron Banner returns next week for the second time, Season the Deep, and it will be Eruption this time. We are not getting control back because Kefri's Horn broke the entire thing.
Gosh, come on. Come on.
Come on!
Just disable it like you do for things for raids.
They literally did. They logged in and had to nerf it, and they had to just disable it. But that wasn't enough. People were still figuring out ways around it, because if you still had it equipped, you could still do it, even if it was disabled. So they had to just change the entire mode.
Gross.
Wild. This is why we can't have nice things.
It's all right. I'm still gonna play because I want that. I want that emblem.
I want the emblem. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the emblem that's the coolest. That might be the coolest Iron Banner emblem they've ever had.
It's pretty good. I liked the one, I don't remember if it was last season or this. I think it was last season, where the Cabal War Beast is on it with the hammer approving. I really like that one too.
Cool. That's pretty cool too.
But I think that actually does it for the TWID.
The TWID.
I do love the fishing with the Vanguard art piece at the bottom for art of the week. It's Keitel and Zavala fishing.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. It's great.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. Also,
this Phoenix Protocol cosplay is pretty good too.
Yeah. I want to shout out, first of all, and not necessarily an art piece, although there's several art pieces in here of it. But man, the Ghost of Tsushima armor set looks amazing.
Awesome.
It looks amazing. It makes me want to play Warlock just so I can wear it.
That's kind of where I was. I was like, I'm probably going to end up getting this and the Aloy set eventually. I just have a hard time spending $40 on armor right now.
Yeah.
It'll be seasons down the road when I do it, I'm sure, because those are never going out of the store, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They don't take any of the armor sets out. They just may not be available next season. So I may have to grab at least my Aloy set this season with my finishers. I want that finisher bundle.
Yeah.
I mainly want the Blades of Chaos.
Man, dude, that's Ghost of Tsushima set is probably the coolest crossover set they've ever done.
Man, I don't know. This is like the third crossover set in a row though that the Warlocks have gotten a banger set out of though. Because they got the Assassin robes last time, and I still love their Fortnite set with the fox and the trench coat. Yeah, the fox head and the trench coat. Oh, I logged in just to buy the Jordans for my warlock.
Mm.
So my warlock can run around in comfy ass shoes during all this.
Mm.
Um, all joking aside, though, I really do think the collabs have been pretty solid. Like overall, I don't think they've been like life affirming for our poor Titan brethren, but the Kratos set is pretty cool still.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
It
is.
sucks.
I
It
still
sucks.
like the Kratos set. You can be boring. I still think the Kratos set is good. Is it as good as the other two? No, but it's Corey. It could be the Fortnite set again. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I didn't even like the Assassin's Creed set.
Oh my. Well, I can't really blame you there, but I did like the idea you could wear a shield on your back. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean that was cool, but also like I had to buy the whole set just to get that, and I'm not sure if that was worth it. So
It wasn't. But the things we do in the name of fashion.
yeah,
Um, let's shift gears to the seasonal, to some seasonal storylines and some seasonal stuff. We've had some developments this week. I'm kind of saving all the stuff on the Veil up for when we get through the main storyline of this season. There is different information about the Veil each week during the containment quest. I actually need to go play those because I only did it the first week, and I realized that if you do it again, this is why I'm waiting for them all to be there and get confirmation that that's it. So I can go in and just you can listen to all the messages one after another. So I'm just
yeah,
gonna get like 10 minutes of dialogue and be taking notes.
yeah.
Um,
That's the way to do it.
these deep dives though, so there's ways that you can make them harder throughout. If you go over to the Taken Ball, if you go over to Toland, and you'll get like a little thing you have to go do. Like in the first room, when you do that, it's like, oh, go shoot all the blights real quick, and then that'll spawn things, and you have to do like a time trial at the end. The next one, you do that, you have to kill, or you have to stand and take an essence to get rid of them, and then you have to do a time trial at the end with increasingly harder enemies throughout all of them. The last one, it's like this mega boss when you get to reward tier 7. There's 3 of them. There's reward tier 3, 5, and 7. 7 is the wildest thing. This was legitimately hard. The boss, the actual deep dive boss, was nothing compared to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I did it with a couple of randos the other day, and we finished it with about 10 seconds to go. We were all out of heavy. We
Wow.
were just trace rifling the boss to death. But the
Wow.
loot that I got out of this, Corey, I got an exotic, I got 3 red borders, and I got a 66 stat piece of armor
Wow.
from doing a tier 7.
Wow.
So it is totally worth it to go and do these tier 7s. At least like get up to a tier 5. I mean, like anything beyond the base tier rewards is great. And you get a ton of extra rep with the vendor for doing it. I think I went up a whole rank.
Wow.
And I'm pretty far in. I was midway through level 12. And when I got done with that, I was midway through level 13. So
Nice.
I think it's definitely worth it to be doing those. I don't know how many more I'll do, but it was totally worth it. And I felt like the story this week actually kind of went somewhere tangible. We got some more broken stuff from Sloan, which I think next week is I can't believe we're going to be off by a week. We're probably going to be off by a week to like a huge turning point in the story, and that really bothers me because it would have been perfect if it was on 150. But this is an imperfect show, so it'll be on 151. It really feels like they're ready to drop a bomb on us.
Yeah, I kind of feeling that way,
We know
man.
there's a leak cutscene. It is coming at some point this season, and there's only 2 weeks left in the quest. So I gotta think that it's coming pretty soon. I gotta
Yeah.
think it's coming before Solstice, and I gotta think that exotic quest is gonna drop pretty soon too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't already, to be
I'm
honest with you.
glad it hasn't because it's gonna give me reasons to log in July. Because Solstice isn't really gonna be doing it for me, but I'm gonna be ready for a break from like Final Fantasy and stuff by then.
Does
So I'm
Solstice
excited to
ever
get
do
into
it for
it.
anybody?
Yes, I love Solstice. I actually really like how they've done it. It's just I grinded it for so many years with so little reward that now that it's actually fun, I can't bring myself to do it.
Hmm.
I feel the same way about a lot of these events. I did them all last year and earned the seals, so I don't like feel pressured to do it this year. But I like them. I like seeing what kind of rewards you can get and whatnot. Will they finally get me with an event card? Probably not, but we can wait and see. I want to see if anything from last year's event card is on sale in the shop, namely the shader.
Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting to see. But I think the most impactful thing out of this week was the dialogue that we get at the end. So last week Drifter kind of started messing with Sloane a little bit, and I don't know if it was like messing with her or if he was like trying to flirt with her or what, but he got really candid with her this week about he flat out asked her, he goes, "Have you ever left the soul system?" And I like that they're starting to ask these kinds of questions. Like they're not philosophical, but like ask these questions. We can kind of ascertain like where do we think that this is all going, right? Because he asked her about if she's ever left Soul, and she says no, didn't really see any reason to. And he goes, "Well, I did." And he talks about his fire team and how they died. Like there was something out there that was killing them, some sort of darkness creature. And I firmly believe that whatever that threat is probably what we chase in the expansions after the final shape.
Yeah.
We probably fight like one or two of those monsters
What
in the
if
final shape.
like what if the witness is actually trying to stop these creatures and needs the traveler to do it, or just whatever he needs to do to the traveler to do it, and when he dies, like, these things become uncontained?
I'd be really mad. I don't doubt that that's not or that that's a possibility. It's just I don't want it to be. Like selfishly,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be because it's like really like you promised the end of the Light and Dark saga and you're just like using this as a springboard for something. There's something else out there. Like we already did this once with Gaul. Can we not do this again?
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I feel about that. I would love to like find out that there's another Ahamkara out there. Maybe the Tormentors are some of the creatures that he was seeing. Who knows? But he talks about his entire fire team dying and basically being like, it changes a man.
Yeah.
It changes a guy, and like it's very clear that it's stuck with him. And Sloane is kind of moved. Like they both felt abandoned and were on their own for a very long time. Um, we've kind of seen a more honorable side of Drifter this season, though. And I was talking about this with Nerd earlier today, actually, and I was like, we keep talking about like a major character sacrifice or someone's going to die at some point. And I don't think they would do it in the context of a season, right?
Hmm.
But what if Drifter is one of the NPCs that we say goodbye to in this final year as a way to sunset Gambit?
Man, I don't. Hmm. Well, you could always sunset Gambit by like leaving the system, I think, too.
Well, so I mean, the whole purpose behind Gambit is he's preparing us for the shit he saw out there. That's been Drifter's whole MO is that he is training us to fight what lies beyond, essentially. And that he was given the Hall by the Nine. We still don't know the Nine's purpose and everything. I don't know if we ever will. But his whole thing is to train us and make us the best warrior that we can be. And it's pretty clear that we're living up to his expectations. Like, I love that he'll yell at you during some of these things. Like, I've seen you bank moats faster than this. Bank them, bank them, bank them. Like yelling at you during the salvage missions. And they've put so much focus on Drifter with some of these goofier things, like the Salvation Script quest, like Season of the Blunder, and
Mhm.
now during Season of the Deep, we've got him as a main character yet again, and we're getting the most out of his past that we ever have. There's some dialogue where he talks with he talks with Saladin. He talks with Saladin over the comms. If you go listen to the extra transmission for this week, it's or excuse me, he does not talk with Saladin. It's him and Saladin talked last week, but the transmission is between Saladin and Zavala. Like it also really feels like they were kind of setting Zavala up to be a sacrifice, and I don't know if they go through with it. I'm still not totally convinced that they don't just pull the rug out from under us and go, nope, bye, psych, we're letting Lance live on forever.
Yeah.
Because it really feels like they're gearing Zavala up for a sacrifice. The way that he's talking, he's talking with Saladin this week, and
Yeah, and especially if they drop a bomb on us this week with either Sloan or Drifter, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like we're starting to say goodbye and putting him in a place where he's just like in a place where he has nothing left almost,
mm-hmm.
except for us and maybe Ikora, right? And so he sacrifices himself to get us out of there or whatever. This kind of feels like the beginning of the end. It did with Amanda too, right? But even though like her death wasn't really kind of warranted, I don't know. I kind of felt her death was empty. We kind of talked about that already, but like Amanda was so close to Zavala, and like him losing her, like I don't know, man. It's starting. It's starting.
I think that Zavala's will be played up more. They're not, if Zavala or Drifter or anybody like that does die, it's not going to be in a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
That's
No.
going to be a front and center moment.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it could be like the beginning, like at the beginning
So
of the
I
final
would
season.
argue that they started the beginning of the end for Zavala last year with Hakim's story.
Yeah, it's true.
I would argue that that was the beginning of the end there for Zavala. I mean, the man's been wrestling between the nature of the light and the dark since Cade's death.
Yeah.
And he's never really reconciled it. The throwing stasis into it definitely threw him for a loop. And my man is just kind of like, if he could just go off and be a sojourn, I think he would right now. I firmly believe that Zavala likely like 90% makes it out of this saga at this point and they just retire the character. They're going to do what the Fast and the Furious did not have the respect to do to Paul Walker. And they're going to just retire the character and without making it weird. I do think that Cade probably wasn't intended to come back like permanently and it's going to be like there's like an apparition or something, but I'd have to guess that they have struck some sort of deal with Nathan Fillion and be like, hey, we need you to record like a handful of dialogue lines like every year just so you can be like the voice of the Vanguard to us.
Yeah.
While we're out exploring, because I'm pretty sure I'm like 90% sure Ikora just pieces out from the tower. She's out of here.
Yeah.
But I would expect like Cade and maybe Crow to be the ones who coordinate Vanguard stuff. Because I mean, my popular theory, it's not even like just my theory, it's just like it's a popular theory in the community, is that Crow will become the first real speaker, the first true speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And that Satan Osiris will either, stay to mentor him, which I could easily see Osiris doing it, but I really think it would be Saladin, assuming he makes it out. Saladin probably stays to help him, be captain of the guard, whatever. And we leave with whoever doesn't want to stick around. And there's a little bit in the lore that makes me think that if good old Uncle Drifter survives, that him and Eris will be the first ones aboard that boat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
do we have any thoughts on like where the story is going? The narrative this season has felt kind of like disjointed. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it's bad, but it's like we're cramming a bunch of character
This is
development in really quickly here because we're approaching the end so fast.
yeah, this
It's like,
this
oh
feels
shit, we
like
got to give Drifter some substance. We got to give Saladin a little bit more.
yeah, I mean, this was what I was afraid of last year, right? Where
Yeah,
like, we were initially you kind of think like, oh, two expansions, there's 8 seasons left to tell the story, but like when you really break it down, there's really only 4 seasons to tell the story because the expansion is going to be the final thing, right? And then the
yeah,
seasons afterwards, we don't know if they're going to split it into like Warmind style expansions or
yeah.
whatever.
We won't know until
Yeah.
August.
But like you really only have 4 seasons to wrap everything up, and this is kind of what I was afraid of, where like the last 2 season stories, although they were telling pretty decent stories for the most part, they were like last season especially felt really crammed and almost unwarranted, and this season feels really crammed, right? Like it just feels like they're cramming all this stuff in, and I don't know, maybe these will be seasons we look back on in 6 months or a year and be like, oh, those were great seasons, right? But right now,
I think on that subject, I think Defiance was actually pretty good. I don't like that the narrative shifted from being freedom fighters to and like exploring the war's effect on Earth to Amanda died, we have to get revenge. I actually thought that was really fucking stupid.
mm-hmm,
Because I'm sorry, like I don't care about Amanda. I never felt any sort of connection to her. The
mm-hmm.
Mithrax fake out had me very worried. Like I thought Mithrax was going to bite it, and then
Yeah.
they kill Amanda instead. And let's be honest, she's as close as you can get to an actual character that matters without actually killing one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like that we had some focus on Devrim. After all these years, Devrim finally had something to do. I like that we had some more Mithrax there. And that Crow is a part of all this. Like, it makes sense for them to be a part of this. It never really made sense for Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm not like overly jazzed
Yeah.
about that line of thought, but I don't know. I'm not like gonna write it off either. I think this season's been really good for character development. Just like I want to know where the story is going. It's clearly all, but like Stallone's visions are clearly building up.
Yeah.
It's clearly building up to like that cutscene that has leaked, and mercifully we have remained unspoiled thus far. it's clearly building to that, and I'm just like, okay, I really hope this has like a giant megaton, like a megaton reveal in that could change the entire way that we think about this season.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna need it to actually be that, and not just, well, I'm sitting here on a hope and a prayer that in a week or two I get to talk about a kick-ass cutscene. Like, it should never come down to that in a live service game when you are 8 months out from your finale.
Right.
Especially for a story that you've been telling for all these years. And I get that the story really didn't kick into high gear until Arrivals, right? Like, we saw some efforts with Dawn. It really didn't kick into high gear, and the one that we know until Arrivals happened. And then I would argue since then, with the exception of Season of the Blunder, it's been all bangers in terms of story. Even if the
Mhm.
season wasn't great for the activity, the story's been awesome. The lore's been awesome.
Yeah.
Even Plunder helped set the stage for Nezarec, but like not in a really good way, honestly. In a really
Right.
frustrating way, it did.
Yeah.
It's like, this could have been an email. Like, and I'm worried that we're gonna get more seasons like that. Like, this kind of felt like a 2.0 of that, but I genuinely like the deep dive activity. I think there's enough freshness there for me to want to do a couple runs a week to try and get tier 5 or tier 7 to get the rewards. I I mean, I like the story that they're trying to tell with Sloan. It's just they're dragging it the fuck out. It's bothering me. It's very
Yeah.
disjointed.
Mhm.
The dungeon it's the best dungeon. It's the best dungeon in the game. Like, straight up, Ghost of the Deep is the best dungeon that they've made, and it's not particularly close in my opinion. So, like,
That's
that's
good to
cool.
hear. I'm gonna run it for the first time tomorrow, so hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some good stuff going for you there. Like, it's just, and I don't even mind salvage. It's just, I don't feel that, I think we're all just so tired of the seasonal model at
Mhm.
this point for Destiny. Like, I really truly hope that they go back to doing like the Curse of Osiris or Warmind style expansions going forward.
Yeah.
I would rather that be my season pass and just like have 2 giant content drops a year, so
Yeah.
that maybe we get a couple strikes with them. We get a raid and a dungeon with each one. I
I
don't
would
know.
I would even say you could maybe squeak it out to 3.
I don't want them to squeak it out to 3 though. That's the thing, because in my mind, I'm just taking out a season because I want there to still be some like seasonal style content attached to the actual base release.
Yeah.
So I want that to be like a little mini season, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
want the
Yeah,
two bigger expansions.
I guess that would make I guess that would make sense where the expansion would have content in it and then you would release something 4 months later and then another one 4 months later. Yeah, okay, that would make sense. Never mind. Erase what I said, Josh. My bad.
I
I
just
forgot the main expansion existed for a minute.
Yeah, I just like, and I would say, I would also say this, that I'm 99% certain that even if they do this, they will do a third one because of the 10th anniversary next year.
Mhm.
So, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all of that.
Yeah.
Um, I so I don't know. I'm not like feeling like too hot on this season, but like, I'm not going to rank this season low though at the same time, because I'm enjoying myself. I'm just, there's so much else to do that I'm playing the least Destiny I've ever played, and I'm still at like level 60 on my season pass.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still having fun with this. I'm
Yeah.
just playing so many other things that I'm like, man, I can kind of take this as slow as I want. I'm glad that it's like, it's more of a laid back season. We're gonna have Solstice. I can I'll be jonesing by the time Solstice comes out to be playing Destiny. We'll be leading into the showcase by then. And I really hope these last 2 seasons are bangers, because I was telling Nerd this. I want there to be a problem where I'm like, how do I spend my time? Am I gonna play some Destiny tonight? Am I gonna play Starfield? Am I gonna play part of my Baldur's Gate campaign? Like, how am I gonna do this in September? And then I got to get through at least one of these games before Alan Wake and Spider-Man in October.
Right.
And that's not even counting the indies that I want to play, like, Sea of Stars. We're both really excited for. I'm thanking God that Persona 5 Tactics is like a Thanksgiving Day release at this point. So that gives me plenty of time to get to that.
Yeah.
So I'm just really excited thinking about like what the future is, and like what the new raid is, or what the reprised raid is going to be, and things of that nature. That, like, I think there's so many positive paths forward, and it really frustrates me between the server, and I'll be honest, the server issues have made it to where I just don't want to play. I typically play Tuesday right at reset because I'm one of those guys who's at home.
Mhm.
And yeah, it bothered me the first couple times where it was like, oh, we got to take the game down for emergency maintenance. And I'm like, yeah, keep seeing the people complain. And I'm like, yes, I understand the complaint about the servers because I get it, especially like European based players. They have just gotten home from work. They want to play.
Right.
They want to play. I understand that. And like selfishly, I'm looking at this like, well, fuck you. I'm in America. You know, these are working hours. Okay. So like,
Right.
unless you do this for a living, I don't want to hear your complaining. And even then, I probably don't want to hear it. So I've
Yeah.
tried to sympathize with our brethren in Europe and in Africa and the Middle East, and like basically, if you live anywhere from like Iceland to like Saudi Arabia, I'm like trying, or like Dubai, I'm like trying to empathize with you for like that 40% of planet Earth, and it's just not happening. Sammy, I'm really sorry. I don't feel any sort of sympathy. Just like, well, I'd rather them be fixing it now than have to call people in when they're at home with their families. I would always rather a game break when people are actually on hand to do it than like on like a holiday. Like imagine the servers overload and go down on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And that Bungie will be the first ones to tell you that's the inherent risk of running a live service game.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it any less shitty. Like I keep seeing people like, well, Sony gave them $3 billion. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
The shareholders made $3 billion.
Yeah.
Bungie themselves did not. The employees got a payout. But guess what? I really hate to break it to everybody. Okay? Everyone else did not see that. The studio did not suddenly see an influx of cash. They do have the support of Sony now. But it takes a while to get these things up and going. Like, I would imagine you're not going to see server improvements and you're not going to see engine improvements until whatever comes next. So, 2025, I'm looking forward to it. Seeing what we get.
Yeah.
I like all joking aside, like, and this my last thing on like this subject, and just kind of like wrapping up my thoughts on the season as a whole, as we are now like we're about a month into the season, like just kind of where I'm standing. I hope that we hear more about like game stability. I hope we don't have to wait till August. I really think there needs to be a state of the game pretty soon to address some of this stuff.
Yeah. This is,
It can't be a cookie cutter boilerplate one either. It needs to be like, I know Joe did one right after Lightfall's like less than stellar reception, and I thought that was a very good one for the point that we were at. We are now 4 months removed. We need another one to address why are the servers taking a shit all the time.
right.
And I don't want to harp on this too much because I don't want to armchair develop, but it cannot be as difficult as it is coming out to be. Like, if it is, then you may genuinely have to come out and make the very difficult decision. We are ending support for PS4 and Xbox when we know we said that everything could be playable up until the final shape. Well, technically it is, but you're going to have to get a new console to play to play the expansion. I genuinely think we have to get to that point.
Did you see that Xbox confirmed they've stopped support for Xbox One on first party games today?
I did, and I mean that should have happened like a year ago, but
Yeah.
it also
Well, I mean,
it makes
Minecraft.
sense. Like, what else is coming from their internal studios that could possibly run on Xbox? I mean, like Age of Empires 4.
I mean, I don't know if it really could. I mean, I guess it could, but
It wouldn't surprise me if Stoic's game eventually got announced for Xbox One, but I don't think they want to develop for it either.
yeah,
That's
but
not an
they don't.
they're
They
not an
don't own
internal
Stoic.
studio.
Yeah, they don't own.
Right, that's what
Stoic.
I'm saying. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if like that one was, but that would be the
Mhm.
absolute final one.
Yeah, I could see anything Minecraft also if they do anything move that way.
I
like
think they're
any
ready to leave
spinoffs.
behind. From what I heard, Legends did not run well on Xbox One.
Oh, really?
Chelsea's sister still owns it. She only owns an Xbox One, and it's my old launch day console.
Oh,
Is what she
gosh.
owns.
Yeah, that's what my nephews are
So
playing on.
yeah, she's playing on that, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know why the game stutters so much." She plays Sea of Thieves on that thing like regularly, and
Yeah, but I mean, look, I mean,
you can buy an Xbox Series S for $349 now with a 1 terabyte hard drive. Go 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 go.
I know, but like, people don't care. Like,
No.
I wish
We're
people
gonna
cared.
we're gonna bully her into getting one, mainly because I want my launch day console back to put into storage.
Yeah, that's fair.
So because when we gave her when we sold her the console, I took the day one controller away from her and bought a generic black one and gave it to her.
Mhm.
It's like, you're not getting my day one. You're not getting my day one controller. But
I have my day one controller on a little I bought a stand for like the day one controller, the
Uh-huh.
Project Scorpio controller, and the 20th anniversary controller. They're all on stands and they
I
don't get
have my
used.
my day one controller is on a Vault Boy stand that I have sitting off to the side on my desk. My
Nice.
20th anniversary controller sits right here by my monitor.
Do you use it?
My 20th anniversary, yeah, I use this one pretty extensively. I've used it for the
Man,
past oh god, almost 2 years now.
I love the way that the plastic feels on the 20th anniversary controller, and I
Yeah.
wish they sold one without the rubberized grips. I
Oh, I
hate the rubber
love the
grips.
rubber grips. Love
Well,
them.
they dry my hands out,
Oh,
and
okay.
they like I don't know. I'm kind of like I don't want to say I'm allergic to rubber, like certain kinds of rubbers, but
You
I definitely
genuinely
have
might
some.
be.
I have like a
Do you have a
reaction
latex
to it.
allergy?
Yeah, I do. So no jokes in the Discord, please, about that. Ugh.
Corey, why don't we take some time to answer some listener questions for
Yeah.
episode 150?
Speaking of Discord, yeah, let's do it. Let's answer some questions. Uh,
Speaking of the Discord,
are you looking up to see if that controller has it?
no, I got tagged in something and I was looking at it and it
Oh,
was like, why am I being tagged in this right now? And I had to scroll back through because it wasn't on the actual thing; it was just thrown in there. Okay, so episode 150 questions. Jiggly Panda writes in as thank you for always writing in, Jiggly Panda. I love reading your questions. With 150 episodes behind y'all, what are some good and bad memories you would like to reminisce about?
good and bad memories. Oh man.
I mean, I think we covered a lot of good ones earlier in this. Anybody who's listened to us for any amount of time knows, Corey and I have a long friendship dating back to before this show started.
Yeah.
Um, Literally, Facebook groups for Sleeper Stimulant is how we became friends.
Yeah.
That was back when Corey was still doing Weekly Strike.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was
It
that.
just started. You had just started Weekly Strike because that was right after Taken King came out.
Well, we started it. We started it right before the House of Wolves came out.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So, but the rumors for Sleeper Simulant were starting to come around, like, and we were like, oh, well, we should probably do something. And then when the Taken King came out, that the group was created, and Josh and I were both in it. And I wonder if that group still exists.
I think it still does. I don't check my Facebook like ever. But when I do occasionally log in, I am reminded that I am still an admin of several old groups that I haven't looked at and that I muted, like, no joke, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look at some point and see if we're still on there. If we are, I will. I'll take a screen cap of the group to prove that Corey and I have been in there for like 7 years together. Um,
Oh my
Good
gosh,
memories.
dude.
God, other good memories.
I found old
Um,
episodes of Weekly Strike when I
oh
typed
my
in Sleeper Simulant
lord.
on. Oh my god, man.
Other good memories. I would say deciding that we wanted to make Lore Corner a permanent thing. That was one of the earliest things we added to the show.
Uh huh.
Because I was hijacked. The early episodes have been lost to time, but I was hijacking the very first episodes to break down the lore because I wanted to make sure that we were saying the correct thing.
Yeah.
And I just took over the episode for like 20 or 30 minutes at a time, talking about lore and about the story.
Yeah, I remember the first couple episodes. You're like, I don't want to read the lore. I want to write it out and explain it to people. And then now, we kind of just read it and talk about
Yeah,
it.
I was like, well, and I'm glad we did it like we did because we had so many storylines to catch people up on going into Beyond Light. I remember back, even then we were talking about Zivu Arath.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and like Savathun, that's the first time we did Savathun lore was like the early, like, oh god, like around episode like 12 or 13 is the first time we did Savathun lore. We did
yeah,
Mithrax lore. I was so dead set on talking about Mithrax back
yeah,
then.
yeah. Well, you were excited because Mithrax appeared in the Outbreak Perfected mission. The
Yep.
yeah.
Oh my
So
god, yeah. I would love to find my my early notes from that. I think I've deleted them in the years since. Uh, but yeah, that's probably my favorite change that we've made to the show was making Lore Corner a permanent thing, and of course, like we said, starting the Discord.
oh yeah, starting the Discord was the best decision I think we've ever done for this show.
And that was kudos to everybody in the community who asked and pushed for that. For us to make that a thing. Nerd had wanted to for a while. He
Yeah,
and God bless him, Nerd Always wanted a space for us, like even just for like our group to hang out and be able to chat and talk and
Mm-hmm.
squat up for things. And I never really bought into Discord. I get apprehensive in situations like that. I didn't really want to do it. I was like, I'm fine. I got everyone I want to play with in game already. I'm good. I don't need this. And when we decided to do the Discord, he was like, I will help set things up. I will help run it. You guys don't have to do that. You can just be a presence in it. I cannot tell you how much this Discord would not be a thing without Nerd. It just
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be, because if it fell to me and Corey, it would not be a thing. I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Corey is the busiest man I've ever met, and I am completely fucking stupid when it comes to Discord bots and things like that. So it would not be a thing without him.
I really need Nerd to go in and clean up my other Discord, the Boss Rush Discord.
I
Is what I really need.
As far as bad memories, I don't think we have any bad memories we want to share on episode 150.
Yeah, I don't. I
We
mean,
we had some growing pains.
yeah, I mean those initial episodes that are lost to time, there was some
There's a
issue with.
reason why they're lost to
Yeah,
time.
but it wasn't between me and Josh, and
No.
we're not going to get into it. But like,
Nope. It's not. It's over and done with. 3 years ago. It's not worth relitigating. Just suffice to say, we had a very interesting 4th of July that in 2020.
yeah, and we since that there's no negative feelings at all towards anything about the show or the
Mm-mm.
community, really, right? I mean,
Not at all.
the
It's
the
been nothing but outstanding.
I think the only thing negative to say is I wish I played more, like the grinding aspect of Destiny to be
Mm-hmm.
more helpful in terms of those types of conversations, but that's not really like that's a me thing, that's not a show thing.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Ronnie writes in, of course,
Ronnie.
unexpected resurgence. While a glaive and a very cool design, is the Trials glaive, of course, and the first to come with Volt Shot falls completely short in my book, and that pains me to say. What say you guys? Can you rank your top 3 glaives? I do not have this glaive. I did not play Trials the weekend it was up. I opted to play Diablo Early Access instead.
Yeah.
Um, I will say the fact that did not see a single YouTuber make a video on this basically validated everything I thought by looking at that perk pool. That is a bummer. I was really hoping this would be good. I really wanted to like stick it to everyone and be like, look, Trials has a good glaive, and it didn't happen. My top 3 glaives, though, man, I don't really have these in any particular order, but I think that top 3 glaives has to go in some way, shape, or form. Enigma, Vexcalibur, and probably Judgment of Kelgarath. You can put Judgment of
Hmm.
Kelgarath, or you can put Ecliptic Disc Spear. I believe that's what the name of it was. It was the pinnacle weapon last season.
Yeah.
Um, I think you could also swap out Vex for Judgment of Kelgarath. I would not put any of the 3 class exotic ones in here.
No, they all are not great. Also, like I like Vexcalibur, but I don't think it's worth wasting an exotic slot on a glaive.
So,
I
okay,
like.
so I'm gonna pull the Gallarhorn defense, Corey. I'm
Oh
gonna
no.
pull it.
Here we go.
I do think that the shield aspect on Vexcalibur in particular is very well done.
Yeah, but I
It's the
have all
best.
kinds of shields.
So I will also ask this though: are you doing this with? Do you have it with the catalysts or not? Because the catalysts
Mm,
genuinely do change the entire gun.
I do not have the catalyst.
Okay.
And we were gonna go in and do it a couple of different times, and then we ended up running the dungeons because that's more fun.
I would definitely suggest getting those at some point. I myself need to get back in and get the others. That'll probably change my opinion on this glaive. But if I had to pick just off the top of my head, I'm going Ecliptic Dispear, I'm going Enigma, and I'm probably going to go Judgment of Kalgarath. I like Nezarac's Whisper, but it not having Volt Shot, it came out the season before.
Hmm.
That's kind of a knock against it for me through no fault of its own. I really like Judgment of Kalgarath, though. That's a really fun one.
I love that glaive. That glaive is awesome. That's like
There's almost
my.
always a good roll every couple weeks at the gunsmith too, if you don't have one.
Yeah, that man, that glaive is awesome. Uh,
Do you have any? Do you have 2 other glaives you want to rank in your top 3
I
besides
mean,
Kelgarath?
I mean, Kelgarath, the Enigma, I really like, and I mean, Vex is a great glaive. I that would probably be my
It's
third.
the best looking one.
Oh, it's the coolest looking one for sure.
I'm really happy I got that
I
fucking
mean,
plaque.
man, now you're making me want to go get the catalyst for that. I just
You should do it. It's still in the game for another 6 or 7 months.
I know. Uh but I mean, I like the glaive. I
Yeah,
like using it. I just don't like wasting it as for an exotic slot,
that's
right?
fair.
So,
That's fair. I also do like glaives more than the average person. So,
I mean, I
uh,
love glaives. I mean, I don't know if I've ever taken my glaive off except in very specific situations, to be quite honest
I
with you.
run it an awful lot. I was very happy to hear about that PvP buff this week.
Yeah.
Um, Cade's Ace in the Hole writes in, what changes are you thinking about going into the next 150 episodes? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're
This is a
really going to.
difficult question.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the show will become a little bit more casual after the final shape,
Yeah.
you know? Not that like we're going to stop doing the show or anything by any stretch, but like, the final shape is like the end game moment, right? And like, yeah, we don't know what's coming after. It could be amazing, it could be a stinker, it could have the World of Warcraft problem, right?
Hmm.
But I really don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, like in terms of like our community, I have no idea either. This is again something we'd have to think about. I mean, God, we're gonna have to think about the next 3 years. I can't even think about the next 3 months, let alone the next 3 years.
Dude, I can't even think about the next 3 days.
Oh, I won't go that far. Sammy writes in, and I love this one. If you could go to a special 150th episode lunch with one character from Destiny and two characters from any other piece of fiction, which three would you choose?
Oh my gosh, what is this? Um,
So I feel like my Destiny character has to be Cade Six.
yeah, but he's dead.
Any Destiny character, Corey. Cade Six is my choice. I'm taking Cade Six. My other characters that I would go to lunch here with. Um, Give me Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Hmm. You just want him to do the meme
uh,
when he recognizes something you do.
I mean, maybe. And then I feel like the other person that I would. Oh God, this is really hard.
It's not
Um,
hard, Josh. I know the pick that you should be picking, and you're not picking it.
if you're
And
saying
it's
Master Chief, I'm gonna
no,
scream.
no,
Who?
no, no, Josh, no. It's so easy. I can't believe that wasn't the first one out of your mouth.
I
Come
don't
on,
want anybody
Josh.
from Star Wars.
Oh, see, I was gonna say Han Solo.
See, okay, so that's where I went to, and I was like, no, I'm too predictable if I do Han Solo. I'm too predictable. I've already got one wisecracker here. Okay, I can't have a whole lunch of them.
Yeah, but imagine if they're wisecracking each other.
Um, man, I would say, God, I don't even know. This is so hard. Corey, do you have an answer?
I do.
Who
Okay,
who would
so
you who would you take the lunch? One Destiny character, two fictional characters.
my one Destiny character would would be Zavala. I think,
Would you have sandwiches?
yeah, we would go to Earl of Sandwich and have Zavala's
Wait,
sandwich
that
casuals.
that that goes without saying. That is the official spot of the episode 150 fictional lunch.
Yeah, of course. Uh, man, wouldn't that be cool if we did episode 200 from Earl of Sandwich at the
Oh
like
my
at a table and
God,
just
that would be fucking great. How much do you think it would cost me to rent out an Earl of Sandwich for an hour and a half?
oh my gosh, probably
Would
a
they
pretty
let me
penny.
do it before opening or after closing?
That'd probably be a better choice, but you would have to eat the breakfast sandwiches if we went before they opened. So,
Mm,
hmm.
we may have to look into this.
Mm.
All right, who are your two fictional characters, Corey?
All right, so I'm gonna pick Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Big fan. Can't wait for the movie. I don't care if it sucks. I'm gonna say it's for years afterwards. I'm gonna say it doesn't suck, even if it does suck. Just like I have with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I
Oh my
refuse.
God, get the fuck out of here! I hate
I
you.
refuse. I refuse to say that movie
Such a dog shit movie.
It's awesome.
Corey, it made Temple of Doom look good. That's
Oh,
hard to do.
no, man. Temple of Doom is the worst movie.
Fucking hate Temple of
Although I
Doom.
just watched it the other night because I've been rewatching them. Because they're all on Disney Plus now. And then I would have to see, I would also say Han Solo, but I think it would be weird if you had two
Well,
Harrison
so I
Ford
almost
characters
went the
fight.
all Nathan Fillion route here.
What did you almost go with? What?
Well, I was going to do Cade. I was going to do Buck from ODST,
Right.
and then I was going to take him from Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to take him from Firefly or Castle.
No, no. Well, him as Castle would be good. No, I get the last person that I would probably invite to lunch. I want somebody else there who's like who can like kind of be the straight man, but can be like really funny at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I want Ben Wyatt from Parks and Recreation at my lunch.
Okay.
But here's the thing: I'll take any role that Adam Scott has done short of Severance. So if he wants to show up as Ben, cool. If he wants to show up as Henry from Party Down, even better.
Okay.
We can make this really fun. I will also accept Chris Moltisanti from The Sopranos, and I will accept, actually, I'm going to have to change this. I need a serious voice in the room, Corey, and I have a loophole to get two beloved Destiny people in the same room. I'm going Cade Six as my invitee from Destiny, and I'm bringing Cedric Daniels from The Wire so that Lance Reddick can join me at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it. We're doing it. Loopholed. Loopholed. All up in the holes. Nerd asks, with Diablo having such an influence on looter games, what other games do you feel like have inspired Destiny to this point? I mean, World of Warcraft is probably the most obvious one.
Oh yeah, that's.
I mean, Luke
clear.
Smith's spoken at length that raids simply don't happen without World of Warcraft.
He said that making Vaulted Glass is because he played so much World of Warcraft and he wanted an experience like that in a shooter.
Yeah. And then I don't like beyond that. I mean, obviously Halo is an influence. I feel like in like a weird way, I think Red Dead Redemption probably had the first Red Dead probably had some influence on it with like its gunslinger nature.
Yeah.
And I think like emphasis on like a living world. I think that probably gets pulled from like a lot of Bethesda titles.
Yeah.
Granted, we didn't really hit that stride until recently, but I feel like that's pulled from like things like Oblivion and Fallout and Skyrim and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then what games do you think Bungie should pull inspiration from in Final Shape and beyond? I would really like to see them turn towards like JRPGs in a lot of ways. I want just like I want insane bullshit in these games. I want things that like defy the laws of physics and like any sort of like common sense in the name of an awesome gameplay experience.
Yeah. So I wonder, and I know this probably couldn't work in the context of the way that Destiny is now, but I wonder if they're going to look at Starfield, right? Just the way the game works.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to, because they sent out that survey about would you like ship combat at all?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they would ever like consider like even we've talked about like having our own ship and going inside. I wonder if they would consider letting us build our own ships at some point. Or
I think dogfights could be really cool to get into. I'd like to see Sparrow Warfare at some point. Like I just think that the game at this point, like once we ditch the old consoles, like those should be two things that you can prioritize. I like the idea of flying my ship to space, like go flying up into orbit. I think that could make for some really cool things, like maybe some derelict space stations you could explore, or like ships you can board. If your friend is playing, you can like board their capital ship and hang out with them if they're on it.
Yeah. I would also like to see them, because like they've gotten a lot better at hiding it, but like every area is really just like a big circle with caves and stuff to go into, essentially, right? I would like to have like a better way to explore the world than just drive in a circle, essentially, I mean, like the worst offenders were Mars, and the Tangled Shore was a pretty awful offender of that.
I like to see summons of some kind. We're kind of getting there with the new strand aspect for hunters, where you can send out a copy of yourself that's made of
Hmm.
threadlings.
Yeah.
I would like to see like some low level summons. Like let me summon a cabal dog to fight with me, and let me summon an iron dog to fight with me, like a hologram of one even.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to have that, like a almost like
But
a
I want
pet
those to be like
system.
PVE only abilities. I don't want those to be used in PvP.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I
I
think
think
that
that could make for some really fun changes to combat. Like you
yeah.
could send something out like a hologram out as a distraction while you flank in a
Yeah.
GM. Like I could see that being really cool. Like have them function similar to like a golem in Diablo 4.
Mhm.
That could be really fun. I don't want like an army of cabal dogs following me like they do my necromancer, but I would like to see something else.
Yeah. I wonder if they could like I also don't want it to be like class specific either. Like I think you should be able to choose from like an
Yeah.
arsenal of because like my first thought was like, well, the hunters would get some kind of bird, and then like the warlocks would get some sort of I don't know something. I don't know. I just don't want it to be class specific if they did that.
Let's move on here. We got a pretty long-winded one from Fox. Starting out with a short statement. 150 episodes in, I believe I speak for the community as a whole when I say thank you for the time and dedication you guys put into this. I've made so many friends based just on a server for this video game that I thought nobody else in the world liked. So thank you guys for all you do. But now it's question time. With the Final Shape Showcase right around the corner, do you believe we will get a glimpse at what is next? And what do you believe it'll be? Use your best spin foil caps for this one. We've kind of been doing this
Hmm.
repeatedly. Like just to reiterate, I think we're leaving the galaxy, and we're gonna fight whatever Drifter talks about in his memories.
Yeah.
I think that's the jumping off point for what's
Hmm.
next.
Yeah.
I do think that the next saga probably deals with the Nine, and the mystery around them, as well as the origins of the Vex. I think those
Yeah.
three approaches. That's probably like the three pronged approach. We talked about wanting to go to Reese and
Hmm.
rebuild it. There's a number of directions you can do just based on those four.
Yeah. I want to see something new, right? I mean, yeah, we gotta figure out what's going on with the Nine. We got to figure out the Vex, but I want to see a new race finally.
Yeah,
And I'm not just talking about like the tormentors like fighting alongside the other races. I want to see a new race with new,
I
lieutenants,
think that we're
new
gonna
cap.
have to retire the Hive and the Taken after this.
Hmm.
So
The
um,
Taken for sure, right?
the
I
Hive,
mean,
the Taken. I feel like we're past the point of Elixni and Cabal being enemies. Like we may just need an entire new suite besides the Vex. Frankly,
mhm.
I think the Scorn will still be around. That would make a lot of sense for the Scorn to still be kicking.
Yeah,
But I'm not sure beyond that. I think the three primary original races need to be retired.
yeah, yeah.
Especially
Especially
since
if
most of
like,
them are allies.
yeah, in like the Hive, right? I mean, if Sivu Wrath is like some sort of major boss at some point, like we've taken out the hierarchy of Hive gods, right? So like, yeah, the Hive need to go.
The only way that I would say that we could continue to see Hive is if the Traveler goes back to its terraforming ways and returns to Fundament to finish the job it was chased off of 30,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Or, like with Reese, maybe it's at either one of those. Um, but who honestly knows? Fox also asks, what do you think will be the big twist in the final shape, be it a location, new returning character, or even a plot development?
Well, they've already given us one twist.
Yeah, they've already given us the biggest one they possibly could. Cade's back, guys. Um, I still think time travel would be pretty big. It would be pretty big. I don't know if it would be unexpected at this point. Um, I
Yeah.
think finding out that like maybe Elsie's time travel isn't what she thought it was, or maybe she's aware of what it is and just didn't want to tell us.
Hmm.
It's that being like a more nefarious thing has been in the back of my mind for a little while now. As well as far as a unexpected area to go to, I mean, it's pretty clear we're going inside the Traveler, right? That much is clear. We're going through it,
Hmm.
be it inside the Traveler or a portal to wherever that place is.
Yeah, I think.
Um,
I mean, that trailer essentially is inside the Traveler, right? I mean, you're looking out.
I mean,
I'm assuming.
sure. We don't actually know though. Like, what if the Traveler just houses memories and that's a housed memory?
Yeah.
We still don't know the nature of the Traveler almost 10 years in. So I would say the other thing that I would find really unexpected, and I've guessed this for like every expansion, so I might as well just keep going. Take me to the Vex Forge. You had a perfect opportunity to do it off Beyond Light, and you didn't do it. Do you have any more comments on this one, Corey?
No.
I'm going to kind of fly through some of these.
All right.
Nadiki asks, what do you think of all the character development this season, not only in the story, but in the stray dialogue and lore books? I think Drifter stands out in particular. Do you think he's finally going to commit to being a good guy? We just discussed all this.
Yeah.
And we are going to read the lore book from this week. So, Cade's Ace in the Hole asks, are there any streams you tune into watching on a consistent basis? I always tend to tune into Twitch over watching TV, so I like to see what streamers people watch. I personally do not watch streamers. I tend to get really annoyed with streamers, so I can't do it. I will watch if a friend streams, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube, to be
You're big
honest.
into Giant Bomb, though, aren't you, Corey?
I'm more into the people that left Giant Bomb, like Nextlander and Jeff Gerstmann has his own channel now, so I kind of watch them. I'm not really. I mean, I still watch like Game Mess with Jeff Grubb because I like to hear what he
Yeah.
has to say, but and I do listen to the Bombcast from time to time, but like it's not the same, and I don't know. I want to be supportive because like I know it's hard to start something new when the people that made it are gone, but like
Yeah.
there's a reason why they were so popular, and so I do watch a lot of Nextlander. I do watch Jeff Gerstmann a lot. I watch a lot of Bife. I watch I watch stuff like that. I like the I like the long form
Mm-hmm.
content that they do, and like the kind of watch over stuff that they do. Like they just did a bunch of watch alongs with the conferences, and they're really good. And I like their commentary on certain things like that. So uh streams though, like I'm kind of with you. I can't really stand the like the over the top kind of I'm doing this to get views type thing. It kind of feels fake. And I don't like I can't stand that, you know.
I don't mind it. I don't know. It's not something I'm like openly choosing to spend my time watching.
Yeah.
I guess I could say. Um, our next question, though, I was trying to fix my thermostat. Our next question comes to us from Zhao. First off, congrats on the 150th episode. Excited for the future. I know you guys have talked about a live show for the future and meeting others and such. If you guys are willing, we should do a Tower Casuals con and get a small venue just for a group of us to fly out or wherever we can to meet and hang out in person. Would you guys be up for that? Maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
would
pretty conscientious of like people's financial situations.
yeah, I mean, it would be a pretty tall ask to ask people to do
Yeah.
that. I would love to do some sort of live meetup or like live show or something like
I'd love
that's
to do a live show and stream it.
yeah.
Which I think would be the more realistic option here.
Yeah.
Corey and Nerd and I have talked in the past about getting together and doing a live show. And
Yeah.
I'd really like to try and aim to do that for maybe, episode 200 next year.
Yeah, because Nerd is only going to live about an hour away from me,
Yeah.
and hopefully that
I'm
one.
I'm the one who will have to buy the plane ticket. So,
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure that out.
which
We'll
I
get
have no problem with doing. That's
uh,
like a quick 2.5 hour flight for me. So we're that would probably be the avenue we would go here, rather than asking people to like meet up. Just because we are so spread out, not just across the country but across the world.
yeah,
Genuinely, our community reaches across both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans.
yeah,
So little bit of a tall order there. I would consider doing something like local, maybe. For anybody who like lives around me or like within driving distance of me, I would consider doing something, a
yeah,
meetup. But as far as like an actual in-person live show, seems like a pretty tall ask right now. Just
yeah.
based on where we're all at, I think.
Especially because, like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, our show isn't like very big to have. Like, yeah, there's like there's a
We're
bunch
not podcast beyond.
of yeah. Well, to be fair, Podcast Beyond isn't really Podcast Beyond anymore.
That's fair.
uh, uh, but I just like yes, I would love to do a live show with an audience and a crowd and do, a couple shows, something like that. But like, we're not popular enough to even even consider that.
Yeah.
So, although I was thinking about it during my daughter's ballet recital of like, man, that auditorium for at the Akron Library is like totally big enough for something to do something like that, and it would be
Hmm.
super cool. And I have a family member that works there, so if that ever happened, but like I said, it's a tall ask.
Our final question of the night comes to us from Joasis. Joe goes, how do we as a community keep Nerd Generalist in his place now that he has Vex Mythoclast? We don't. We find the next thing he doesn't have and we harp on that until he gets it.
Yeah, or we could create a Discord label and give it to him of like something sinister and mean.
And also, congrats on 150 boys. Here's to 150 more. Thank you, Joe. Joe is a real one. Joe has been here since the early days. One of the earliest people to write in. I was talking to Sammy about this. Uh, that Sammy and Joe were two of the, and Andre, really, all three of
Hmm.
them were three of the earliest people that we had writing in with questions on a weekly basis or a near weekly basis.
Yeah, Joasis used to DM me questions on Instagram.
Yep, yep.
He
You see
slid
that
into my DMs.
we definitely used to have people who would message us on Instagram and on Twitter. I still get the occasional DM on Twitter, which if you DM me on Twitter, there are a couple of you. I promise I have the topics you have suggested in my back pocket for when we hit another slow stretch. So maybe as
Yes,
early as next week, I'll be busting out one of those.
they're cool topics too. I'm
They
excited
are
for
cool topics.
some
We
of
just
them.
need like time to get to them, and this week was not the week to do it. We finally had things to talk about, and we've been going for almost 2 hours here. This is our longest episode in a while,
Yeah, it is. I'm
and we
shocked
still
it's this
have
long.
Lore corner.
Yeah,
We're gonna
lore
do
corner.
we're gonna do lore corner real fast. We are going to skip one of the two pieces. We're gonna skip straight to the relevant one this week, continuing on our story of the Drifter. This is number 4, Tether, out of this week's book or this season's book called Purpose. Eris let her eyes wander over the interior of the derelict, wondering if Drifter had hastily tidied it before her arrival. Unprecedented, but he could still surprise her. They sat together as they always did when she came to speak to him face to face. Drifter sighed and shook his head, flicking his coin absently between his fingers. Sloane's in a bad way, he said. Eris nodded. And you believe my speaking to her will be beneficial, she replied. Drifter shrugged. Helped a few people already, didn't it? Eris considered this. It should be you, she finally answered. Drifter laughed at this, but fell silent when her expression remained unchanged. Me? His confusion was genuine. Why would she trust me? Trust is built, Drifter, Eris said, and you have taken the first step. He was pensive. The movement of the coin over his knuckles stopped. She continued. I have found, she said, her words measured, that one is grounded by honesty, not only in oneself, but with those around you. He heaved a slow, hard breath. I don't know if I can, he said, his voice small. Yes, honesty is a supplication, Eris said. We ask to be seen, we are made vulnerable, but it is necessary to be treated with care. Her explanation was met with one of his rasping chuckles. Drifter leaned back in his seat, arms crossed. He held his coin tightly between a thumb and a forefinger. You always make something so easy sound so freaky, Moondust, he said. Eris ignored this. Tell her what you told me, she said more simply. The deputy commander's trust will not come without reciprocity. Drifter fell quiet, looking down. She could hear his breath and see the strange shiver of his fingers when he clutched the coin. Eris reached out and placed a hand on his arm. He was tensed, trembling, but her touch was light, quiet, comforting. He placed his hand over her own. You know, some days I still wake up scared, Drifter said softly, even when I can't remember my dreams. That is what it is to survive. There was a gentleness to Eris's voice. He nodded, then looked up and met her gaze. Hey, Drifter said, you find that joy yet? Soon, Eris answered. Joy is built, but I have taken the first step. Drifter withdrew his hand. After a moment, she did too. Eris stood, and Drifter's eyes followed her. Consider my counsel, Germaine. She knew he would. Drifter let the silence linger. "That's not my name," he said at last. "That is what you let them call you." It was a small link to his past, a link to a life he had picked for himself. He nodded slowly, holding her gaze. He would let her call him that too. This is a fittingly beautiful piece of lore, I think, for episode 150. Um, Specifically where we talk about where Eris talks about honesty. Honesty is a supplication. We ask to be seen, we are made vulnerable, but it is necessary to be treated with care. It's among the most human of desires for people just to be real with you. Don't be two-faced, be real with me. Tell me how it's going to be, and we'll go from there. That's the first step to building trust. That's the first step to acceptance. And I think for a character that has run from his true nature for so long in Drifter, in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks, we've really seen a lot of character progression get shoved out there all at once. And I think it's worth pondering Nadiki's question when he asks, is Drifter finally going to make a move to be a solidly good guy and not be like, basically not be in the gray anymore? I think the answer is yes. Like, I think Drifter is one of those characters that proves like heroes can come from all walks and cuts of cloth in life. He's not the typical hero you think of. For God's sake, half the tower wanted him banned. He parks a ship filled with Taken above the planet.
Yeah.
He recruits us to play in his games. And yet, time and time again, he's been there when you've needed him. He's shown up to the defense of the city, and he claims he's training us for what's coming. He's training us to fight against the darkness and for what's coming next. I think Drifter's hero moment is a lot closer than we may have thought a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule out seeing him do something heroic this season. I don't think they'll go as far as to kill him off, but I think solidifying him as a hero and a true ally of the Traveler is definitely coming this season.
Yeah.
And then I think the relationship between Drifter and Eris, I mean, this is a relationship that's been growing ever since Arrivals. He helped her build the banks that we banked the dark
Yeah.
moats in order to do the Tree of Silver Wings and whatnot. It's been building ever since then, and they have a real will they won't they vibe, and they definitely do here. Like, this is a little bit more than a friendly gesture, I think. Essentially holding hands, and they may yet find a little bit of happiness in this post-apocalyptic universe.
Mm-hmm.
They're about the only two who understand what each other has gone through too. Both lost their entire teams. She lost her ghost. He nearly lost his.
Yeah.
To the point where he ordered his ghost to stop rezzing him, and the ghost kept doing it anyways. They are the only two who really understand not only that, but like what's coming. They are the only two who grasp the severity of the situation. And I think Mithrax to an extent, because he's heard the stories of the fall of Reese. But they're really the only ones, like Osiris from sharing a mind with Savathun and seeing all the futures in the Infinite Forest. Like, like 3 or 4 people maybe total in the franchise who really understand what's about to happen. And, this is kind of Drifter, I think, not looking to profit, but he's committing to what he said he was going to do. So, insert the Chancellor Palpatine meme. We will watch your career with great interest.
Yeah. Yeah. I always wondered which way Drifter was going to lean,
I always had a feeling it was this way, but I wasn't ever expecting a full hero turn for him.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew he was going to be like the cocky guy with the heart of gold, right? But like, I don't know, the one season where like you had to choose if you supported the Vanguard or Drifter, I thought that was going to have real implications at some point.
It was supposed to, and then, well,
yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, it was an interesting idea. I don't know how you could do that in Destiny unless you just had, I'm the Vanguard faction now, and I can't do the Drifter quests or something, right? But I don't know. But I'm glad this is kind of the direction that Drifter is leaning. And yeah.
That's going to do it for our lore corner for episode 150, Corey.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it, Reddit.
We did it. Well, should we get out of here?
We should get out of here.
Yeah, it's storming pretty bad. I don't want to lose any power while we're recording. So I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening, not just to episode 150, but over the course of the last 3 years. You guys and everybody really mean a lot to us. It's a lot of the reason why we do the show is because you guys are listening. So Josh, also I appreciate you over the last 3 years. You are the show. Let's be honest. You are the heart and soul of the show. You were the brains of the show. I'm just here to look pretty. But I appreciate your time and effort as well over the last 3 years. It's been a real joy to talk Destiny every Thursday.
Every Thursday. But listen, you can be the most knowledgeable person in the world, but you're nothing without a co-pilot and a kick-ass producer. Let's be honest, the show would never get edited and out on time without Corey. There will probably never be a show without Corey. I'm going to be completely honest, as we've all seen when I'm left to my own devices to edit things with a notoriously unreliable computer. Um, it's just things like this are always more fun when you do them with friends.
Yeah.
They just are. Like it would be boring to do a show by myself, and I don't think either one of us would ever want to do a show by ourselves. If I wanted to do that,
Yeah.
I would go be a streamer, or I would go make solo content. I would never talk about Destiny by myself, ever.
Yeah.
There are so many more knowledgeable people than me out there that you can go listen. You can choose to listen to, but y'all choose to hang out here with us each and every week, and that genuinely means more than words can express for us. So here's to the next 50, I guess. The next time we'll meet
Yeah.
like this will be next
Yeah.
year, episode 200, sometime around late May.
Yeah. That'll be a great episode because we'll know things by then.
We'll either know answers or we'll be so mad that we aren't playing the game anymore. One of the two.
Yeah.
So
We'll have to pick it.
Here's hoping we make it to 200.
Yeah. Man. But Josh, where can we find you?
Twitter at Josh_Fan2ends. I am spending a lot more time in the Discord these days, though. Social media is just too overwhelmingly negative for me these days. But I'm
Josh
usually
too busy on social media shouting about his sports teams. So
oh my god, fuck the Mavericks. I hate the
okay.
fucking
So by the way, it was announced that the Seahawks were going to wear their classic unis,
yes,
right, against the Browns, and
so
the Browns are
excited.
also going to wear their classic unis. Why didn't we get neon green versus bright orange?
So we're wearing these twice this year. I found out we're wearing them against the Browns, and then we're wearing them against the Cowboys also, which is awesome because there's a high likelihood that I'm going to Seahawks versus Cowboys since it's being played 10 minutes from my house.
It's amazing.
So I'm very excited. I love the throwback jerseys.
Yeah, they're great.
Very excited. Very, very excited. Excited to see Geno Smith tear up the field in that.
It's awesome.
Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at IamCoreyHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me doing other content on other things. You can find me in the Discord. Join the Discord. We haven't said that this episode.
Yeah, we haven't said that 15 times already.
Yeah. But seriously, I appreciate every single one of you who listen. It's incredible. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.